Welcome, everybody. Hello and welcome. And we'll get started on Instagram here. Welcome to everybody. Thank you so much for being with me. Thank you so much for joining. Welcome to everybody on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, LinkedIn. I really appreciate it. Welcome to another episode of the Empowered Immigrant Live. I am your host, Otis Landerholm. I'm the founding attorney here at Landerholm Immigration, A.P.C, where we fight for your American dream. Today, our topic is citizenship cases when there are long exits. All right? Sometimes a long exit will affect your eligibility for citizenship. So I want to talk that through. All right? And so first of all, welcome. Thank you so much for being here. The Empowered Immigrant Live is here to train, teach, inspire, and empower immigrants to make the most out of immigration laws and to make the most out of their lives. All right? So today, our theme is citizenship when you've got long exits out of the U.S. And so my question for you is, do you want to get a green card? Do you want to apply for citizenship? Do you want to get some kind of immigration status? Do you want to come out of the shadows and apply for something? Is this year your year to take on your life in that way, to take on your future in that way? Because if so, go for it. All right? I'd love to help you with that. My firm is on a mission to win 10,000 cases in the next 10 years, and we would love for your case to be one of them. All right? So thank you to everyone who has submitted questions or who's here. We've got 30 minutes to discuss this topic in English, then we'll do it in Spanish. And if you have a question as I'm going, we're live. So feel free to ask, and I'll do my best to answer any question we get. Okay? So thanks a lot. I like to start with an empowerment tip, and I hope this is helpful and useful. My tip today is to really examine action. All right? Action is the cure-all. And what I mean by that is if you really want different results, examine what your actions are and either take different actions or take more of them or both. And when you do, measure the results you're getting. All right, so that you can be on track to getting what you want in your life. All right, sometimes it's good, helpful to take an activities inventory. Gosh, how much time did I spend yesterday looking at TikTok on social media or whatever, right? How much time was spent doing things that weren't very productive for me? And look at where your time is going and what actions you really are taking every day. And when you do that, you might see some areas where you could make some minor tweaks. Still watch the show that matters most to you, but then turn it off and focus on getting one additional thing done or taking one additional action to help produce the results you really do care about. All right? Some people try one thing today, one thing tomorrow, and then give up because they don't see results. Well, what would happen if you went all in? What would happen if you made a list of 10 to 12 things that you'll do today, 10 to 12 things you'll do tomorrow, and the next day, and the next? If you get into action, it's the cure-all. It can help you produce the results that you want or get out of or fix the situation that you're in. Give it a try. All right? Give it a try. Hope that's useful. Hope that's helpful. Now I want to get into the basics of the law and our legal theme today. All right? If you're just tuning in, welcome. All right? It's the 13th of April. It is Thursday, April 13th, 2023. Welcome to another episode of the Empowered Immigrant Live. My name's Otis Landerholm. I'm really grateful to each of you for being here with me. Okay? So how to become a U.S. citizen? How do I qualify for naturalization? All right? The basic requirements, all right, You've got to be a green card holder for 5 years, or you can apply under the 3-year rule if you're living in marital union with a U.S. citizen spouse. Part of that is you have to have, your green card has to have been lawfully gotten, right? If you lied to get your green card or something like that, the best advice is to not apply for citizenship sometimes. So you have to have you have to be a lawful permanent resident for 5 years, unless you're going under the 3-year rule. You've got to be over 18. You have to have, quote unquote, good moral character. All right, so various arrests, certain issues, failure to pay taxes, things like that. I've done whole episodes on the good moral character requirement. You can check those out. The 4th requirement is you have to speak basic English, and there are exceptions for that. So if somebody is over 50 years old and have had their green card for over 20 years, or if they're over 55 years old and they've had their green card for 15 years, they can do it in their own language. All right. The 5th requirement is you have to take and pass a civics test or a history test, and there's 100 questions that you got to study. The officer will ask you 10 of them. You got to get 6 of those 10 correct. Okay. So those are all kind of the basics. And then the last requirement, which is what I want to focus our energy on today, is the quote-unquote physical presence requirements. Okay? And so physical presence, like the basics is when you're a green card holder, that means that you are a lawful permanent resident, keyword, resident, of the United States, which means you must be residing in the United States. If you have long exits out of the United States, then the government can be like, wait a second, are you really residing in the U.S.? All right? And so the physical presence requirement for citizenship is that at least half of the last 5 years need to be physically present in the U.S., and no exits out of the U.S. can cause a quote-unquote disruption of your physical presence or an abandonment of your green card. And so I want to get into those two things today, disruption and abandonment. All right? Remember, if you have a green card, you have the right to travel. That's what a green card allows you to do, work and travel in and out of the U.S. Okay? But with a green card, the best advice is to never leave for more than 6 months. Never leave for more than 180 days. Okay? If you do leave for more than 180 days, they're going to ask you why. They're going to ask you what you did. They're going to ask if your intention was always to return. They're going to ask, whether or not the length of your stay was under your control or was outside of your control. And when they ask those things, they're doing an analysis, like, are they going to consider it a quote-unquote disruption in your physical presence for the purposes of citizenship? If they find it to be a disruption, all right, you've got to wait 4 years and 1 day past that exit to apply for citizenship. I'll repeat that rule, all right? If the officer says, nope, this was a disruption, all right, you can appeal that finding too, but if the final conclusion of USCIS is this was a disruption in your physical presence, then the law says you've got to wait 4 years and 1 day before you apply for citizenship. And so, if your question is, hey, do I apply for citizenship now? We've got to look at your exits, and hopefully you don't have any that were longer than 6 months. Okay? And look, if it's 6 months and a day, if it's 6 months and 2 days, then typically you'll be okay. All right? I've won cases in that context. For me, it's okay if it's even 7 months for the disruption issue, the best advice is not to do that, is not to have that, because it creates an additional legal issue you've got to explain and describe and argue about. And so avoid that if possible. But I just wanted to say, there are arguments sometimes that, hey, USCIS, in this situation, my mother was sick, or, there was an exceptional circumstance where my flight had to be moved around and I couldn't come in during the 6 months. I had to stay an additional 3 weeks or something like that. Like, there are circumstances where it's still a winnable Nats case. All right? Okay, so that's the disruption issue. The disruption issue is actually the happier issue. Okay? The more severe, the more extreme issue is the quote-unquote abandonment issue. All right, I hope this is making sense. And if you have questions, please ask. All right, and Veronica, I see your question here. Thank you for asking that. I'll get to it in just a minute. All right, the abandonment issue is the bigger issue. Okay, so if a person is out of the U.S. for over a year and never submitted what we call a reentry permit, which is the best way. If you know you're going to leave for a long period of time, get a reentry permit first. Gives you up to 2 years out of the U.S. without causing a problem. But if you've been out of the U.S. for over a year, USCIS must see that as a disruption. It's a clear disruption to physical presence. But they might also argue that you actually abandoned your green card, your residency. And if they argue that, then citizenship can get risky because they can actually put you into deportation proceedings and try to take away your green card. Okay? And so you definitely want to preserve your green card and not be leaving the U.S. for more than a year and for longer periods. The longer you're out, the harder it is to come back in with a green card. Okay? And if they confiscate your green card, put you into deportation proceedings, hey, that's what lawyers are for too, right? Like, we can fight that case. It's just, gosh, you really don't want to go there. You really don't. Okay? So anyway, that's all that I wanted to say about this legal topic. Thank you so much for tuning in. Now I want to get into your questions. It looks like I've just received one here from Veronica. Thank you so much for asking. And if anyone else has questions as we're tuning in, hey, I'm here, and send them in, all right? So Veronica Yonibelli, hello, nice to meet you. Your question is, hi, thanks for your information and your help. I appreciate it. I reported to ICE last week, and it was an ICE officer outside telling everyone who needs to report to email the office. I have been calling them as well as emailing them at the email the ICE officer provided to us, and no one is getting back to me. This had happened before, but they usually contact me and give me a new, your note isn't finished there, but give you a new appointment, give you a new check-in date, right? Got it. So, Veronica, I don't know which ICE office you were reporting to. Some ICE offices, I would say, are more organized, and some perhaps are less organized. And good for you that you did call them, and good for you that you did email them. My guess is that if you know, you'd want to document that in whatever way you can. So maybe make a note or a journal or something. So if ICE shows up and says, hey, why haven't you come in? You can be like, hey, this is what happened on this day, and here's my note that I called on this day, and here's a copy of the email that I sent out. Like, if need be, you want to just show to ICE that, hey, I was trying to cooperate with you to the best of my ability, and here are my efforts. And my guess is that will be fine. Normally, if you're reporting to ICE, you also have an immigration court case. Is that so? I assume that you're in that situation where you have a court case, perhaps filing asylum or cancellation of removal or something like that in front of the judge. So here's the way it works, everybody. Here's the way it works. All right? ICE if you're in immigration court and you have a hearing in front of a judge, ICE cannot deport you. All right? They cannot until an immigration judge decides and signs an order saying that this person shall be deported under the Immigration Nationality Act and the laws of the United States. Okay? Like, ICE can't deport a person. But ICE does have the power to detain a person, put somebody behind bars, okay, during the process. Does that make sense? And ICE, of course, has the power to execute a deportation order if that order was already or previously signed by a judge. Okay? And so that's just kind of the overview of the, like, ICE and the immigration court. They are different processes. And Veronica, what you're doing is you're complying with, to the best of your ability, the order by ICE. And my guess is you're not a top priority for them, right? You are cooperating with them. You're doing the right thing, all right? And the best advice is to have a lawyer or contact my office if we can help you in any way. Fight your case in court, because if you win the case in court, then don't worry about ICE, okay? I just want to be clear about that. The main thing is to focus on winning your case in court. Yes, comply with ICE, absolutely, but focus 100% of your effort and energy on maximizing your chances of winning your court case. Just wanted to be clear. I don't see any other questions that have come through, and it's 10:30, so let's leave it at that. So thank you all so much for being here. I hope this was useful. Hope it was helpful. If it was, please subscribe to our channel in YouTube. Click that notifications bell to receive, a notification whenever we update additional updates, news, videos, things like that. Okay? And if you have an immigration case, hey, please give us a call, right? We're here to help. We would love to help. Okay? So YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube. I said YouTube, LinkedIn. Thanks so much. My name's Otis Landerholm. I'm the founding attorney here at Landerholm Immigration A.P.C., where we fight for your American dream. And I'll see you next time on our next episode of the Empowered Immigrant Live. Thanks so much. Take care. Bye-bye.